Stone's Throw Studios for their label Stone's Throw Records. I have some experience doing organizing and producing Seek camps and workshops, and I also am a consultant for Women's Audio Mission in San Francisco. And yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk about audio engineering and composing and that hustle.
Awesome. Round of applause, guys.
I'm Sean Glover. I'm at Sound Exchange. We collect and distribute all the digital streaming royalties in the music biz. So the music you hear on the web, cable, and satellite. So that's Sirius XM. The web is the thousands of webcasters. And cable is the we call them those blue channels, music choice, those 800 channels. We're the organization that collects those royalties, and we pay out to the artists and copyright owners. We're based here in DC.
Awesome. Round of applause, guys.
My name is Carlos Torres. I'm from Hive. I basically connect rappers and different musicians through the gaming industry and help build a crossover with that. And I've been partners with the NFL as well, and do a lot of community events such as this, and just trying to spread knowledge on how we can do the crossover with music and gaming and connect different influencers.
Awesome. Round of applause. So we can get started with Dome. Dome, I know that you work brand partnerships. So the question here is for artists, how can they leverage these brand partnerships based off of your experience, based off of the companies that you have worked with? What are some good ways or strategies that people can go about this? Because this is, as you can see, very important. A lot of folks already here, they have been sharing their, their brand, their company, which is great, but there are also certain ways of going about it, right?
Yeah, for sure. So something that's really popular and happening is micro-influencers, and I feel like a lot of artists might have to start thinking about themselves in that way. So the audience that you're building is just extremely niche and extremely specific, which is something that brands are actually looking for. I think somewhere to start is like by genuinely asking yourself, what brands do I love, which sounds like such a silly question, but where you draw that brand parity is where you can start making those relationships with brands. And that relationship can easily start as commenting on their social media, liking on their social media, and finding ways for you to start promoting their product on social media, product, service, or whatever it is. I think as you continue to grow those relationships and grow that brand presence online, I think so much of it is, you're an artist, you have your music, you have your shows, which is incredible, but there's also an untapped revenue stream, which is being an influencer. And part of having that brand, having that audience is being able to maximize your revenue, and that goes into sponsorships. So I know that was pretty vague, but so yeah, finding brands that make sense for you and then starting to engage with them on social media, and even cold outreach works. I do it all the time, and I get 50% of the time I get responses, and you never know, invite brands out to your shows, invite them to your release shows, make them come out, and you'll never know, you might get a free product one day, and then the next day you might get $100,000 sponsorship. So really start building the relationships now, even if you only have 1,000 followers. The longer the relationship, the better. Yeah.
Awesome. Could you give us a quick example of a good case study that you have seen?
That's a really good question. I'm trying to think. I think I can't name the artist specifically, but they were really into this brand. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm totally Bombas socks, which is so specific and so small. But he was really down with the brand. He loved the brand, and he literally just started reaching out to them on social media and sent them a message and totally didn't think they were going to respond. And the next day they sent them 2 boxes of socks, and then the next thing you know, they did a paid partnership together, which basically looked like a collaboration post with advertisements, and also using his music in the advertisements as well as another revenue stream as well. So it's just more than being an influencer. I think artists have more of an earning power than influencers have, because you have the music, because you have the talent, because you have more notoriety than I think a regular influencer does have. So that's an example, yeah.
Awesome. And I do want to give another example based off of what we have done at Songtrust. We have done collaborative events with artists. So there have been showcases, there have been networking events. What I will say on top of what Dome said is that if you have data to back these things up, that holds a lot of weight, right? You can cold email someone, but if there's no data backing that up, then there's nothing really for myself, Dome, or whoever else is doing brand partnerships to kind of move forward, right? It's like me saying, hey, like I'm here, but I never explained my bio, right? Like who am I, or this and that, or what have you. So that's important, making sure that you can have a history of events that you've already done on your own, and it's okay to do events on your own, right? Because that's how we can see how you work even without an organization. So if you have all those data points or a few other things that you can present to us or to any organization, they'll be able to move forward a lot quicker.
Well, one more thing to add is asking the demographic or type of audience that they're trying to reach. I feel like in initial conversations, a brand might look really cool to partner with initially, and then you start those conversations and you're realizing that your audience and their audience is completely different. And that's where be like, it's great to talk to you. We can't work right now, but in the future, it's always about starting the relationship more than anything. If it can't happen now, that doesn't mean it can't happen a couple months or 2 years later. You could blow up tomorrow and then they'll want to have a conversation with you. So.
Right. And another good point of her saying that is that it's what you present yourself as an artist, right? If you're an artist that talks about, let's say, soccer, basketball, you're not going to go to like a makeup brand or something like that. So you have to also understand, like, not every niche is your niche, but making sure that you understand the demographic of who you are actually talking to, who you are yourself. Because if you're presenting yourself as a person that's not genuine, people, like the audience that you're reaching out to, will catch that, and it's not going to work. So making sure that you understand who you are as an artist, what you represent, what the theme is, and then reaching out to those organizations with data, with all this information that we have shared.
Real quick, I'm gonna butt in. Just like an electronic press kit will also help with your analytics and all that stuff and your numbers, and then they can kind of compare how they can see you working with the brands too. So I deal with like a lot of brand partnerships as well, so that's very important. And then you can start reaching out, and then going to events like this, you never know who you're sitting next to. And then once you start seeing your face more and more outside, then more opportunities can open for a long-term relationship with that brand.
Right, that is very important. Once you start seeing someone over and over and over again, you understand where they're coming from and also what they are able to do, right? So if I'm putting an event that is happening for country music, I'm not going to reach out to a hip-hop person and vice versa. So that is very important. And I feel like once you start getting yourself out there a little bit more and more and more, people will start seeing you as a kind of like a stronger authority figure within the events or partnerships industry. Awesome. So anybody wants to add?
I was just going to say too, there are a lot of unconventional pairings. Like there are some athletes that wear fingernail polish. You know what I mean? So don't pigeonhole yourself. Really expand your mind into brands that you believe in. I think right, point that you believe in that stuff that you would really support and never support you. But I see a lot of artists saying that I'm a hip hop artist, I can't do this, or I'm a country artist. And genres are so blended now. Fucking Lil Nas X was that country rap? What the fuck was that? You know what I mean? So you're a little bit all over the place now. So just don't pigeonhole yourself based on, they like to box y'all in. So don't go for that.
Awesome. That's a very good point.
I want to just emphasize what Tommy said earlier, was that I think that definitely it is definitely worth the time and effort to kind of at the onset really like look inward, like what do I really like, and what is something that I really feels good in my body, and because I think that that's gonna, if all these relationships are about time, you're gonna want something that's gonna feel comfortable having longevity with you.
One more thing, I think it's also working on your sales pitch. So, every artist has a sales pitch of their own to, producers, but when you're talking to brands, it's a bit more different, right? You have to focus on like what your social media presence looks like. What do you have to bring to the brand other than your music, right? And finding ways that you can like be a compliment and an asset to all that.
Awesome. Now, moving on to the creative side, I know that Hema is a producer and also an audio engineer. So I wanted to ask you to share with everyone, what is the best way to go about that, to promote yourself, to offer yourself your creative services? What's the most entrepreneurial way of doing that? Because that's a lot different than brand partnerships, right? We're working with data points, we're working a little bit more on the marketing side, but when it comes to you personally, your skills, your entrepreneurship, how can you go about that in the best way possible?
I think the question was promoting yourself.
Correct.
I think that the best way, I think for me, what I find works really well is kind of always starting like with the people who are coming up with you and who are around you. And I think that those, like making your interests known